Good morning.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Good evening. Oh, we have a rojo there in the comments, and we have one here.
Hi, Bertil.
Hello, Bertil. To Shireen.
Yes.
Now, why is this thing? Oh, that's right,
There
because they
it
put
works
that
like
thing
that,
in.
Guten Tag, Hashim, and
Hi, Rosalind.
hi, Roslyn and Joe.
Good morning, Joe. No, good, what is it? Good evening,
Good
I
evening.
guess. Let's see. So it's got to be, well, it maybe is morning. It may be early morning there, huh? It's really early morning there. So anyway, Guten Tag, Hashim. You already said Guten Tag, Guten whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a rojo again.
And if you scroll up, I think I see a comment of Nelly.
And there's Tisharin.
Yeah. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joel. We're growing more Joels. There's Nellie. Hi, Nellie. And there's Anna. Hello, Anna. There's another rojo.
And Nelish. Down there.
Did I miss that? Oh, I went right by there. This little thing is not easy to operate on this. I'm accustomed to a mouse. There's Anna.
That's so old-fashioned.
I know, I'm
Savage is
old-fashioned. I'm an old guy. I'm old-fashioned. I'm a mouse.
Yeah.
I'm old enough that I can remember when there was great humor that everybody talked when the mouse was invented. And people would talk about there's a mouse. What's a mouse? Well, it's a thing you slide around on the table and it has a wire coming out like the tail of a mouse. That's why they call it a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so there's another rojo thing. And it looks like it's cold there. Should we put on the snow here?
Yeah.
It's a good idea. We'll put on the snow here. Want the same one we had before? You liked it before. Want a little bit of snow or a lot of snow?
A lot of snow.
A lot of snow.
But I think this one is the cutest.
What's the key?
The one with the snoring Santa Claus. I don't know. What's this one?
I don't know. What, you want the one with the moon?
I don't know. I'm just want to see that one.
All right, we're changing.
Huh. Cute. The moon is also nice. That's the one all the way there.
This one?
Yeah.
I thought that's what we were on.
That's what we had last night.
And that's kind of nice. And so 3 a.m. it is. Wow.
Yeah, good.
Nice of you to be up with us. And there's Inika saying,
Goedemiddag.
good. It doesn't look like Julia. Anybody else who's not Dutch. Does that look like Julia?
Goedem. That's more proper.
It's Goey Demadag. Goey Demadag. Goey Demadag. Now, how do you turn Goey Med? How do you turn Goey Medadag?
Demadag.
Metadag. Raj says very neatly, Namaste. Namaste.
Hey, y'all.
So, there's a good day. There's a good day. That reveals, see, that's why he says it's 3 a.m., because he says good day. Anyway.
I wonder how they say good morning. It just doesn't sound the same as good day. Hi, Nelly.
Hi, Nelly. So, anyway, here we are. It does look kind of cold looking at that thing. We'll just look like it. And I got my thing on
and
here.
your cap on. And
I got my little, I got my cap.
I have my blanket
and she
here.
has her blankie on.
So,
it's not really.
Yeah, it looks like we're cold.
Rojo just crawled up over here and turned on her cell phone watching us. Now she's going to type something again. What did she type? It's a smiley face, I guess. Yeah, it's a smiley face. And Roho is sitting there grinning ear to ear, pointing to herself. See?
I'm really smiling.
I'm sending a smiley face. Anyway, so what are we talking about today? Brand name yoga.
Unbranded yoga.
Yes, I mean.
Unbranded yoga.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like
Unbranded yoga.
Like unbranded sunshine.
Unbranded sun. That's a very nice little metaphor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unbranded sunshine, says Roho.
Do you like the Alaskan sunshine or the
Alaskan
New Zealand
sunshine?
or the Netherlands
How about
sunshine?
the Australian sunshine? They don't have any of it right now.
I saw New York City sunshine a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Was it different?
Oh, yes. It had smoke and haze through it.
It had smoke and haze. Anyway, but that is I'm tired. I'm going to take a little nap here, okay?
No, Samity, no, Samity. Wake up. Keep him up straight.
It's like an episode of one of those movies where they prop the guy up and take him around.
No.
I don't know that movie.
Stupid movies.
It figures. Unbranded yoga, sunshine, unbranded sunshine. What?
Watching that all again on the screen.
Huh?
There's a delay, so she's
There's a delay,
rewatching.
so
She's rewatching.
Instantly.
That's the benefit of the live
Indian
show.
sunshine. How about that?
How about that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that is
I remember you talked about water, that you were in the era where they started.
Yeah. Did I
water.
talk about that in the recording? No,
but you have talked about it.
Everyone's like, who's going to pay money for water?
I can remember that there was a huge, big deal going over in marketing circles. It was like an unbelievable thing that what was going on in the world. Can you believe it? The ultimate product from a business standpoint is something that costs you nothing, but that you take in a lot of money. And this is what was being said about bottled water. And it was like unbelievable at the time that there was brand name water. So you take water and you put it in a bottle and you give it a nice marketing label.
Dasani.
And the name Dasani.
An expensive looking bottle.
Inexpensive, and you
Fiji.
send, and it's water. And that's like brand naming sunshine.
Perrier.
That was the big one. That was one of the big ones when it first came out.
I think they're starting to sell fresh air.
I've seen that
they
too.
can oxygen, and you can go to oxygen bars.
Yeah, the oxygen bars have now been around for a while, a couple decades, I think.
And I've heard that some of the polluted areas will take some of those fresh air ones and they'll sniff it.
And they'll what?
Sniff it because it doesn't smell like smog.
Oh. Anyway, kind of a silly thing to talk about, but there is relevance in our modern world. You know, when we try to talk about yoga, it ought to be like talking about sunshine. It is a universal process. One of the things that has happened in fairly recent years in the U.S. is that a group of Hindu people started a program. You can Google this if you're curious and find the group that does this. And they created a counter, what do you call a counter response? What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, what you mean?
when somebody does one thing and you don't like it, you do a counter revolution,
Yeah,
but there's a better word. What is it, Rojo? What's the word I'm looking for?
Mm.
Not a revolution.
Insurgents.
It's not a counter movement.
Anyway, they created a movement called Take Back Yoga. And the claim was because the Western people had stolen yoga from us Hindus. It's our property. And so to have a conversation about the universality of yoga as a process that is about, how do you say it, anything having to do, counterculture. Yeah, somebody typed that. Counterculture, Raj said. That's one of the terms. But there's a different, because it was not culture. It was not culture. It's a counter, there's a different word. Counterculture is an alternative culture. And saying take back yoga is not about a culture. I'll get it later. Somebody will be smart. Tell us the word I'm looking for. What are you looking for there?
I was changing a little bit the screen so we have a little bit more view on the comments.
Yeah. Johnny is here. Johnny says, hey.
And Joe says, I'm old and grumpy, and particularly grumpy about branded yoga.
Yeah.
And the whole industry.
And
the
rip-offs
and
abuses
that go along with
it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just becoming an old man over it too. I think there's more to it, Joe, than just being an old man and a grumpy old man. I think there's really something to it, because now many people, probably the majority of people who probably, I'm guessing, who have anything to do with anything, any kind of yoga, etc., really do believe that what we see out here is yoga. This came up because we are right now in the process of creating a new online course.
Yes.
And we're having a ball putting it together, and I think it's going to turn out to be a pretty nice offering to people. Mm-hmm. Don't you think? She's the director. I'm just the talent, so it's her opinion that counts. But I think we're kind of on track, aren't we?
Yeah.
Anyway, this was part of what sort of emerged out of this thing. I was talking about branding yoga. But the title of the course, I didn't finish the sentence, is Transitioning to the Yoga of the Ancient Sages. And it's directed, this course is being directed towards people who are doing any of the modern versions of yoga, who are curious about the traditional yoga of the sages, etc. And so we put that course together, and we've recorded, I think, something over 40 of the sessions. She's the director.
That's why I have a little sleepy eyes.
And now a lot of it's in the hands of the editor. And the editor is the one who puts the title introduction in and the tail in and
all the
and listens all the anyway. And so we have an extremely good editor.
You're speaking very slowly compared to what she listens to.
Yeah. Anyway, so this thing came out of that. So, well, we should come together and talk to you about, not about the course that we're doing, but about this process, because we all live in it. And so, to me, one of the unfortunate things is that as soon as you take the word yoga, like what Rojo said, sunshine, as soon as you take it out of the universality of being like sunshine, that it's just there,
and it becomes a little thingy compared.
Hello, Gyan.
Hi.
Gyan Murti. Welcome. I don't think we've crossed paths before. Anyway.
Something is goofing up with that.
it's because our little thing here doesn't work very well.
Oh. You know you gotta move like this.
But you see, there's a little
Yeah.
little
Little bar
bar there that scrolls the things, and it's not working. I can't grab it.
Jan Murti said, hello, nice to listen to you.
We saw that, but now this thing is not working right. Yeah, I can't get it to. Can you go hand me that mouse over there?
Okay.
Watch the magic here.
And we've got a new person said, nice to listen to everyone too.
That was Gyan.
No, this one is Romaine Parent.
Hi, Romaine.
Hi.
If you could just hand it to me, that would be. I don't know if this is going to work, but it's an old-fashioned mouse, but we're not able to grab the
comment box.
The comment box on here.
There.
See, that goes down.
And then that goes up. Woohoo!
Woohoo!
It's working. And Roseanne
We're
posted
just
a
getting
link.
started. Hi, everyone. Hope there's still some time left. Yeah, we're never in any hurry here. This is just a morning hangout time to have a chat. So
it's Sunday.
There's not really an organized plan, and it's just a chat.
And what did Roseanne post? Did you see, Roho, what Rosalind posted?
I haven't seen the article because I ran out of time.
Okay. New York Times. Yeah, well, let's not look at that right now. You guys can look at it if you want.
Hi, Brecht. Nice.
Hello, Brecht.
Goedemorgen. Middag. Nee. She is the Dutchie who lives in the state of New York by the waterfalls.
Lives by the waterfalls near Niagara.
Yes, but also Dutchie.
But also a Dutchie.
That's what we call the people.
I just wrote a long private message to Swami J. Just now, I haven't seen it yet, have I?
Oh.
Or did I see it and ignore it? I don't ignore these things. Okay, well, good.
Maybe just literally just.
Okay, I'll look at it later. So anyway.
He's a Belgian.
Belgian, yeah, she. Yeah.
Oh, she.
And Jordan says, it's snowing in your living room. Haha, awesome.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
But thank you, Brecht. We were wondering, because from Holland is Dutch, we call it a Dutchie. And we were wondering how we call someone from Belgium.
Well, why did you say she's from Holland?
I tend to.
Because she has a Dutchie name.
Because she speaks Dutch, and that's wrong of me, but that's.
Oh, my.
But she's a Belgian. That's how you say that. Now we know it. Thank you.
Well, we were talking about that, weren't we?
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
We're a little slow this morning. We're getting started.
It's okay. It comes with age, you see. No, I had actually just in a different context, I think within the last day or two, I had said to her, you call a person from Holland a Dutchie. What do you call a person from Belgium? Spanish. Do you call them a Belgian or a belly? How about a belly? Yeah. Belly
Flemish is one part of Belgium. The people who speak like Dutch people, but their own version of it, so to speak. That's a Flemish. Yeah, so that's a specification within being a Belgian. Because you can also live in the French-speaking part, and then I don't know what that's called.
And there is Gurvinder.
Yeah.
Good morning, Gurvinder. Now we can start, huh? So what were we going to talk about?
Unbranded yoga.
Unbranded yoga. But so anyway.
Because we can increase the awe of what yoga is.
So anyway, so we started producing this course, and it's difficult to find the words to even put the words together of who we're addressing the course to. Now it's to everybody, of course, Of course, you see, of course.
I'm still absorbed in my lesson on
Flanders
geographer.
is the Dutch part.
Yeah, so the French part are Walloons and the Dutch part are Flandrians.
If you have Walloons, do you have balloons?
I knew that was coming. I knew you're so predictable.
I know.
Thank you. So
we're getting an education.
Very good.
In European.
So she is
European cultures.
Yeah, she's Atman.
She's Atman. That makes it really easy.
That makes it super simple.
Yeah, very simple.
Playing in the world.
Playing in the world
of words.
And
that's what we try to do. We try to label. What is this label? What should this label?
In sort of classic yoga Upanishads, they refer to nama rupa.
Yes.
And so there's this one reality, or many realities if you like to look at it that way, but reality. And as soon as you change something around a little bit, we give it a new name.
Yes.
So one of the labels for that human tendency is called reductionism. We tried, which I'm not terribly fond of the word because it sounds like we're taking something and reducing it down.
Yeah, but
But because it's actually more like just yogic avidya. It's more like just ignorance.
Yeah, ignorance.
And so we give it a new name, and then we forget that it actually arose from something else and is something else, and now we call it this.
Yeah, so as long as we cannot see or hold or don't want to, or just out of ignorance, don't see the yoga that is all pervasive, that is the one, and we think it is something, then that opens the opportunity for
as soon as we think it's a thing.
Yes, a thing.
It's an it.
I was Dutch in a past life. Does that count? Okay, from now on, you are also a Dutchie.
Joe is now an honorary Dutchie.
Honorary Dutchies. Anyone can be an honorary Dutchie.
They're very good about that, Joe. I've noticed. They're very open-hearted and very willing to allow us to become honorary Dutchies.
What's the new course? So it's transitioning to the yoga of the ancient sages.
Transitioning to the yoga of the ancient sages is what we titled.
It will be finished on Wednesday.
We're making good progress. Yeah. We're having fun doing it too, and I think it's as always. We always have fun doing these things, but
this is
Anyway, this is what led us to thinking about chatting some today about
and how to invite someone to make that transition from what they probably have encountered in the world, and that's a bunch of brand names.
Yes. Breck, it's another course. It will be another Udemy course online. And
Nelly says, yes, Joe, you're welcome.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Another Dutchie.
Another Dutchie has welcomed you. They're very nice like that. When I go over there, it's funny, they call Germany Deutschland, but across the border are the Dutchies.
Yeah, because Deutschland.
I understand it's two completely different words.
Yes. I don't know how it came.
But there's a certain, language is fascinating.
Yes.
There is a certain humor in that.
Yes.
But anyway, so we're making that new course and we're giving it that name. And, it's because it arose, this concept of having transitioning to the yoga of the ancient sages. Cool.
Commercial break.
Drum roll.
A new awesome online course from Swami Dineshwar through Vyasa Ashram will be live probably somewhere.
Thank you, Joe, for typing that in there.
That's sweet.
And that's exactly right. Transitioning
to the yoga of the
ancient sages.
And just the to play with the fact that there's
this idea of this title. I'll tell you a little piece of humor around here. That we'll be sitting there doing something, and I'll say, "Ma." She'll say, "What?"
Oh, here we go.
And I say, "I have an idea." And she'll say something like she just did there. She'll put her hands over. Oh no! I don't want to hear it. I said, no, I have a new course title. You know, it's like we're working on one and we have 2 more to do after that. And
he's already working on number 10.
And this is just the way creative thinking happens. Every one of us has our own world of creative thinking. Yeah. No, you don't have to learn Dutch, Joe. They are very accepting, loving, tolerant. And
a little bit too sometimes, because it's not easy.
And most of them speak English. Yes. I don't know how many of them speak Australian, but you know.
We're good with accents.
They're good with accents, but they're very, so you don't have to learn Dutch.
Well, a lot of people actually come and migrate to Holland if they don't make an effort of telling people, please stop talking English to me because I will never, ever learn your language.
Yeah.
Happens a lot. I know a bunch of people living there for 20, 30 years and barely speak Dutch because they don't really need it.
Well, this is what happened with me with Hindi living in India.
Same.
Because I spent most of the time in the ashram. I didn't spend time out in the tourist areas traveling around like that. And so in the ashram, the people that visited there, the common international language is English. So the visitors to the ashram were all speaking English, and it was always kind of fascinating because the accents were from literally all around the world, and there's a beauty in it. And so, you know, somebody's there from Korea, and they're speaking their English with a certain accent, and here's an Aussie there speaking, and so all these accents. But the staff in the ashram who speak Hindi to each other, those are the only people I had a chance to talk Hindi with. Well, the staff in the ashram, you know, the kitchen staff and the cleaners, and they're just nice people. To me, they're not the lower level servant things. They're just people. Mm. And so they were the people that theoretically I could have learned Hindi with, but they all wanted to learn English. A lot of the purely Hindi people, they didn't, you know, the more affluent people would get to go to English medium schools. So they learned English all along. Raj can speak, of course, better about this.
Australian, that's amazing. Australian is the real English, true.
Boy, look how you spell that.
Awesome.
Australian. Yeah. Oh, isn't that something? Isn't that that's a funny way to spell.
Don't mind us, we're just goofing around.
Yeah, that's all we're doing. For whoever said, am I late? No, that you're never late. But the theme we're talking about is unbranded yoga.
Because of
anyway,
transitioning. You were telling a story.
Anyway, so I was just saying that the staff in the ashram there, they all wanted to learn English. And they consistently did good learning it. And so they would ask me, you know, in their broken English or they'd talk to me about how to say a certain something. So there'd like be 3 of the people sitting there, and we would do that. But I couldn't get much Hindi, so I never really learned it well. There was even a woman down the street that lived alone who was a swami of I don't know, I've forgotten even what lineage or involvement it was. And I used to actually try to go take Hindi lessons from her. And she was trying to teach me, like a 5-year-old child, which was appropriate. I didn't mind that. But she got me a little paper booklet thing that had the letters of the alphabet. So she was trying to teach me properly. And all I wasn't trying to learn how to write it and all that. I gave it a try. I'm sitting there with a notebook writing the Devanagari script and all, but it just never took very well. It was not a natural environment. Now, if I was living in Holland, I would probably learn the Dutch easier. The one that is probably the example for me that I think would happen is if I was living in a predominantly Spanish-speaking country. Then I would easily fall into that thing of learning the local language. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
Anyway, so when Samity comes up with another thought.
Yeah. And so I'll say, I have this course title has been on our list, on our draft to-do list for probably at least a year.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Probably long.
So I'll say, Ma, I have an idea. Oh, no. She's sitting there doing editing on the current one or something like that. And it's like, no. I said, no, it's a really good, listen to this idea I have. And she'll finally say, very sweet and kind and loving, she'll take her hands down from her ears and say, okay, go ahead, tell me. And I will tell her. So I say, transitioning to the yoga. What did Joel?
Yoga of the ancient sages.
Yeah, I forget to tell you, yoga of the ancient sages. And so it's a way of saying it. And then she'll say, that's nice. That's a good title. We had another one pop up recently. I don't remember what it was. I'm not going to tell you that because it's probably not going to happen for some period of time.
But that's how we keep,
but anyway, this is how
we keep you pouring out the wisdom sound. Capturing us for the
I just want to go live in the Himalayas and find a nice little cave and be quiet and left alone, but I can't.
No retirement.
No retirement. This is a shock. Mm-hmm. I had it in my mind. I thought, when I start to really get old, if I have some notice, like if I start to get a disease and I know that I've only got like 5 or 10 years left when I'm that kind of old, I thought it'd really be cool. Go to the Himalayas, go live in a cave and just die up in the mountains with the yogis. And well, surprise, I hooked up with Swami Rama and that's not the way it operates. And so somewhere along the way, I realized, no, there's no retirement.
If you do branded yoga, you can retire.
If you do branded yoga and you're making good money and you're putting it in the bank and you're
at one point you can say, okay,
and you have a retirement fund, then you say, I have enough, I retire. And
I'm just playing.
I'm not sure if that's true either.
I know. I'm just playing because of the title.
Anyway, so it's just the title. And this is what prompted us to be thinking about this. And I think it is something that is very useful in the very, very practical sense to be aware of. Now, one of the nice things I think about where we're going with this course, not to change the subject back again,
is how wonderful you are.
Is how wonderful I am, but I think that the concept and what we're doing, I think you guys will tell us later that we're kind of coming across okay in walking this delicate line.
I think so.
Of making this information of service to the people who are living within that world of modern yoga and think that yoga is this. And the spirit of it is that sometimes, a person will run into a web posting or a book or something and start to realize that there's more to yoga than meets the eye. And then sort of thinks, okay, well, now where do I go from here?
We all are doing the waking up process from the middle of the avidya anyway, just like the Yoga Sutra starts from the point that we are living in avidya and how to wake up. So it talks to us from that perspective. And so that's what you do there too. The modern world has done this with yoga and that's what most people encounter. So for those with an eye to see beyond. And then they hopefully encounter anything that's something like this, which they can see the bigger picture.
One of the things she reminded me as we were doing this in the last few days, she says it's a good flag in the sand. Mm-hmm. And what she was reminding me of is I had made a comment to her some years ago that the way I hold what we're trying to do and what the way I try to hang out in this world is not to accidentally, using the conversation we're having right now, to not accidentally come across with brand name yoga. I don't want to accidentally do that.
Yoga of the ancient sages. Trademark.
Yeah, trademark. Yeah, Ancient Sages Yoga.
Whoa, I want to do that one.
Trademark. I want to do that. One of the things we reviewed is a book entitled Original Yoga. It's written by an American guy. And anyway, he writes in his introduction something along the lines that he writes it very clearly. He said, one thing, why am I calling this original yoga? He said, and he says kind of clearly, I'm not trying to create a new yoga that's called original yoga.
But how quickly with our
mind, this
that's
happens.
What we do. It's just an untrained habit.
So this is the challenge of what we're trying to do.
And Nelly says that sounds great.
We hope so. We hope so.
Yeah.
And we've talked some concept details don't matter exactly for the moment.
And there's one of those
hot Bikram.
Yeah. I mean the way you start the course.
But we're going to try to widely circulate the existence of this. And
to plant a big flag.
This was the thing I was saying, to plant, because I explained to you some years ago, all I ever want to do with any of this stuff is just plant a flag.
In honor of the new Star Wars movie, hello, Jedi Masters from the new Star Wars, Yoda of the Ancient Sages, waiting your transition course in Udemy Galaxy. You are our new hope. May the Force be with you.
That's really cutely said.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Who the hell is George? Do I know George? Do you know George?
He's been here before.
Yeah, I recognize his name, but I don't place a real person with George. That's very, very cute what you just wrote there. Hello, Jedi Masters from the new Star Wars. Yoda of the ancient sages, waiting your transitioning course in Udemy Galaxy. You are our new hope. May the Force be with you. That's cute. I like that a lot. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
And to me, this is why on these Sunday mornings, for those who are new, we just sit here and hang out and talk about
Greece.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Greece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. I remember now you introducing and commenting.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have a sense of humor with this stuff. You just
the other day when we were at rehab and you were doing, talking with a group of people that is in a facility that really is in alignment with what we do. That's a way for me to quickly say what he is in a relationship to me, because here is this old man and there's this young woman. I said, what's this about?
She's talking about down the road, about a 1-hour drive away from here, there's an alcoholism and drug addiction treatment center that has an approach. The approach that they use in their programs is very much in alignment with what we're doing. I don't mean that they're teaching meditation a lot like that, but their core philosophy, their central philosophy, they actually, in their marketing, they say, for those of you familiar with this is not a criticism, but they say that ours is a not 12-step based program. And so what they are doing is very much in alignment with what we're doing.
So sometimes you can
and the reason the connection is because one of their key leadership management people showed up here in the ashram probably 3 years ago, something like that. On one Sunday morning, showed up here. He and his wife showed up over here, and both of them were working at this place and got talking over a period of a couple months of them popping in over here at the ashram, visiting and meditating and all like that. And they told me something about what they're doing. I said, that's interesting. And I used to work in that field 30, 40 years ago. And so it was intriguing to me. So I went over there and visited and found that their approach is not this. Again, it's not that they're teaching yoga. I mean, they actually have some yoga classes, but their yoga classes are just as modern as anywhere. So they have a yoga teacher who teaches postural yoga, modern postural yoga.
They're pretty successful. They are fortunately having a good turn on Robin.
Yes, Very successful.
Yeah.
And part of it is, and one of the things that came up the other day, we were just there Tuesday, and part of the conversation when we go over there, we're there for 2 hours. We're there from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon. And so one of the pieces of conversation that we had with this group of people, I think it was probably about 20 people in the gathering that we were there with, was about, after they leave this treatment, how do you go back into your world? And a few of the people said, I don't know, how do I take this, that what we're doing here, back into my AA 12-step setting? And so I was of the stance, and so we had a good conversation about that you can do it. It's not necessarily easy. Here, if I guess I can take a little divergence to answer this for Rosalind, because I know it's a sincere question. Now, this is just me taking a shortcut way to say this, and I know that you will understand this very, very easily. There is the notion of the higher power, and it very clearly says in the main text and in the predominant thing. Now, I don't want, let's not get off into too much of a discussion here, but where or what is this higher power? And we even talked the other day, acknowledging that often people will be told any higher power will do. You can use the group as your higher power. You can use your version of God as your higher power and all this sort of stuff. But the core principle of what these people are doing is that the higher power is within you. One of the books that they use to help train their people, when I first visited there, I actually, when I go over there once a month, usually when I go over there, it's a new batch of people. Sometimes there's a little carryover because they have their timing that they're there in their program broken into like 3 parts. And we see them when they are at the end, where we see them when they're in part 3. So we're mostly not seeing people when they are in detox level. They're going through the detox and through
initial therapy.
They're probably going through at least 3 weeks of what they're doing there. And then they come to a point where that's where we see them. Now, what was I starting to say?
Higher power was, and how successful they are.
Yeah.
And I brought it up because I playfully say, he's my Yoda. And then everyone understands.
Yeah.
That's a very short way of saying it. Like, what is this relationship that is not known in the world much about?
I remember what I was saying. There's a particular one of the books they use. And the first time I visited there and that fella showed me around the place, he gave me one of these books. And so when I meet a new batch of people, I will tell them, I said, and I'll pull this book out of my little case, and I say, all of you know this book? And I said, they all, yes, of course, they all know it because they've been hanging out together with these people. And I said, and I tell them, the first time I visited here, I was gifted this book. And I said, these people here, the management here allows me to come here and talk to you. And I said, they allow me to say anything I want to you because our philosophies of the world match. What I know through the eyes of meditation lines up with your approach to recovery. Okay? And I said, so I was given this book, and I asked the people, I asked them, I said, do you know this book? And they'll say, yes. Of course we know this book because they've been hanging out with it, these principles of what they're doing there. And I said, when I was given this book, I said, do any of you remember what the dedication page of this book is? And so far, I've not had one person remember who the book is dedicated to. And humorously said, last winter, around January, I think it was, maybe February, the author of this book was there visiting, and they had us do a gig together. He and I sat in chairs side by side like this in the room with a whole bunch of their patients and staff. And so we just had this conversation there together. And I mentioned this to him. He's the author of the book. And he didn't remember his dedication page. He said, I don't remember. What did I say?
Mm-hmm.
Was humorous. I mean, it actually happened. Were you there?
Mm-hmm.
Remember?
That's how much impression I made. I was there.
she was. I thought you were, but I'm just because even when you're not here it is.
Oh.
Even when you're not there, you're always there for me. So how was that? That was a pretty good save, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good.
Anyway, the dedication is to the serenity and wisdom that is within us all. That's the starting point. The starting point is not that these people are in denial, as that word is often used. It's not denial. It's not saying there's no alcohol or drug problem. It's not that. It's saying that the wisdom and serenity you are looking for is already within you. By the dedication of the book, the serenity and wisdom that is within us all. So when I go over there, and I don't know the people, I'm just fresh. I'm a Swami. I'm a weird guy. I'm a monk. They don't know what a monk is. They don't know what a Swami is. And so when the staff there is telling them in the morning before we show up who's coming, they have the challenge of trying to describe these two people who are going to show up, or if it's just me who's one. They usually know if she's in town going to come with me. And so it's a kind of unknown. So anyway.
So the higher power is.
So the principle is that the serenity and wisdom that you are looking for is within us all. And they mean it. And I mean it. That's why that, and you know I mean this, Rosalind. At the core of Rosalind is Atman. Now, philosophically, some practitioners of meditation in the world will debate that and say there's no such thing as Atman. That's just one stupid foreign concept. But there is, underneath it all, there is serenity and wisdom and all this kind of stuff. So it's just an approach. And that approach that they use in that kind of way, as I think you're hearing, very, very much, yes, higher power being within, very much is in alignment with what we do in the context of meditation and yoga. And yoga, there we go. We're back.
Yoga.
With the unbranded yoga of the ancient sages. Maybe we should retitle the course, The Unbranded Yoga of the Ancient Sages.
Transitioning to the unbranded yoga of the ancient sages, it becomes a pretty big mouthful. Plus, you already have recorded many within it where you have mentioned it.
I know, but that was humor.
Sorry.
No, you can't hold that anymore because this computer doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't change it. The other, I have a sign here that was for the other computer. That was in mirror.
When you use this Facebook
iPad.
Live on a cell phone and you have it selfie aimed towards you,
then
it flips
reversed.
Everything. And so
I had made a joke for every time Swamiji made a joke. It says, ha ha ha, Swamiji told a joke.
So anyway, we have to have a sense of humor over this stuff.
That is a good bridge to what Joe wrote.
What did Joe write?
Why am I losing my sense of humor over yoga branding?
Because it is misleading and confusing people and taking advantage of them. Yes, but when you try to talk to that person, what you probably have run into this, Joe, you may have the best of intent, but you may accidentally step on some toes, and before you know it, you've got a war in front of you. You've got a fight going on with that person, and that's not what you intended to do from the beginning.
The most known one, I think that's probably what you encountered as well, is that when people say, well, it helped me, I am here now.
Of course it helps.
Yes.
And so, in a sense, what I'm trying to respond there, Joe, is that whether we're talking about recovery centers or yoga, that a certain degree, maybe a lot, of levity is very, 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 very helpful.
Because it's coloring.
It's coloring.
It's an aversion towards what's happening, and the vrittis move as they move. The gunas are playing with the gunas. That all makes it. But But I have come to the point, and
so you don't like the title transitioning to unbranded yoga?
See, I'm the director. What's it worth to you?
You see, I got to get through her. Can't even get a new idea in.
That
we should take a vote. I'll put a poll.
And I think that's what this course does. If I may just talk over you, because I think this is important, is that what I think we can do for those who understand something or a lot or all of the what yoga really is about, what the sunshine really is about, is to stand for this admiration, this awe, this overwhelming, wow, this is what yoga really is about. And if we do that, then there is no, actually, in a sense, not even a need to describe what everyone else thinks yoga is, what it is not. I've come to see that if I just keep highlighting the positive and just try to radiate like the sun what yoga is, that is hopefully the positive increasement to the awakening of.
Anyway, we're working on it, and it will be out soon. And we've done a lot of the recording, and we're getting very good at working together on this. And she's a good director. I mean, she really is. She's a good director. And when we first started doing these things, we had a conversation. I said, I just want you to know that from where I'm coming from, you are the director. I'm very good. I know myself pretty well after 69 years. I'm extremely good with concept in anything. I'm very good with concept. And so I came up with the title of this, and most of the outline of the list of presentations I created and formed it into the sections. And then she looks at it, and she has her input, and then we talk and we move it around a little bit. So I'm very good at that. Always have been. I'm very good at concept. But she is extremely good. There's the perfectionistic side of her, which, if you know Enneagram, is the one in her, that side of her. She will get it right. And she's very, very good at that. Yep, there was a yep, just avoid. There was there's a, just avoid the battles. I say, but there's more. Yes, that's a part of, yeah. And so that's the spirit of it that we're talking about. And if that's said lovingly and not aggressively.
Yeah, because it's the example that you can live.
Good, Rosalind. Thank you. I'm glad. I was confident you would hear that I was trying to say to you. But I'm glad you typed that. It's nice to see. And so this is what we're doing in that context. And so there is something kind of similar here. And so one of the presentations that we did is entitled something like The Bell Curve.
It's there. You want me to get it?
It's there?
The bell curve
you
is
can.
Still there.
Okay, is it still sitting there? Sure.
I don't think we need to have it.
We don't. Everybody knows the bell curve, and so I do a presentation in there and I say to the audience, and everybody's seen bell curves. In the middle of the bell curve is called most people. And so I'm giving them this presentation thing, basically trying to communicate.
It's a loving warning.
It's a loving warning. That's what it is. Caution. As you go in this direction towards,
you will leave
the yoga of the unbranded yoga of the ancient, the unbranded yoga of the ancient sages. You are stepping outside of the center of the bell curve.
Yeah, that's why I also thought that books like Yoga Sutras and Yoga Vasistas should have a warning sticker in the inside. Warning, this will make your mind
explode. This will mess you up.
Yes,
this will make your mind explode. Yes. And so anyway, that's what we're doing.
But don't tell too much, Swamiji.
Well, what am I going to sit here and tell the whole thing? We've recorded a few hours worth of this, and I'm going to sit here in the next 5 minutes and reveal all the secrets. But we're having a lot of fun with it, and I'm hopeful. She's the director. This is why I will ask her. We'll do something, and I ask her. Now I know what answer I want.
You're doing great.
See, I asked her.
It's wonderful.
But I was starting to say that I think that as she and I are sitting there together and she's behind the camera and I'm sitting there doing this, and it is very helpful the way we work together. So it helps me to be in the right frame of mind to sit there and talk to a camera lens as a person. I'm not talking to her sometimes, but mostly I'm doing that, but it's helpful in this kind of way. And I think that the lightness that we're talking about here right now comes through in these presentations.
Oh, yes, Andy.
Oh, yes.
Very good.
And so this is what we're doing. And this branding thing, I have been working for years, literally years. Actually, now it's measured more like decades. And this is after watching Swami Rama try to deal with this too. It's just very, very difficult.
It's amazing how he somehow is able, when he was alive, to have not been able to have been able to avoid the craziness of the appearance of a new brand. When he left, of course.
Well, when he left, then a lot of people have tried to turn, this is an example, have tried to turn this tradition into a brand name. I don't want to go too far with stories because then it sounds like I'm sitting here saying bad stories about some other people and their institutions that they have set up.
And I wanted to actually highlight how amazing it was that Swami Rama was able to not do that.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job of not creating a brand name.
Yeah.
But then as he was moving, he started moving away from active teaching a lot. In the last couple of years that he was in the body, he was busy building a hospital and medical college and university in India. And so that's how he was spending his time. So he moved away from, workshops and seminars and like that. And so.
But he never said we do so and so yoga.
Yeah, he never wanted to create Rama yoga. Yeah. But then after he left the body and was no longer with us, there has been some movement in that kind of direction. And if I'm having a personal one-to-one private conversation with somebody that maybe has been involved in that and really needs to talk it out, then I'll have that kind of conversation. But I try as best I can to not do too much of it in a setting like this because we're having this thing and it's in public view, and I really, sincerely in my heart, do not want to be bashing anybody. But there's something about our human makeup, and it goes back to the traditional notion of nama rupa, name and form. This is one of the core principles about how our human mind works. We just naturally give things names, and when we subdivide reality, we give it a name. So we can have a conversation about Holland and Belgium and the Flemish and the Dutch. Yeah. We have subdivided. And the balloons.
Balloons.
The balloons. And so for us who don't live in Europe and in that part of Europe, when we look at a map of that area, well, what's the big deal? Okay, why can't these people get along? There's Holland, so it's little Netherlands. It's this little bitty country, and there's Belgium next door. And there's Germany, and there's France.
Yeah, why do they need different names?
These people look like they're just neighbors. Well, how the hell did World War I and World War II happen? And there's a part because, they're just neighbors. Can't neighbors get along? The U.S. and Canada get along pretty well most of the time, unless we're talking about health care, which makes that's a whole different conversation now. But Cut.
Editor is a cut.
Edit.
You're off topic.
Yeah. But see here, that's how this happens. And so, anyway,
we all wish you an expanded.
This is something in our human makeup that we give things names.
And better be aware of it.
We were talking yesterday, I used as an example, we live by the Gulf of Mexico. And out there beyond that is the Atlantic Ocean. Where along the way is the boundary line that says this is Gulf of Mexico and this is the Atlantic Ocean. It's just our whole planet has this one huge ocean,
water body,
big body of water, and it wraps around South America and it wraps around Africa.
And when it's in the neighborhood of Belgium and Holland,
yeah, this
North
was what
Sea.
she said. When I mentioned this, she mentioned this one. I said, that's probably an even better example. So there's the North Sea, and out here's
called
the what?
Around Greece. George will know that in English, Middellandse Zee is called in Dutch, but there's a body of water as well.
Yeah,
that has another name.
We have two big maps on the wall here.
Yes, so nationality is a man-made creation, created the illusion of safety within boundaries.
Yes, safety within boundaries. Thank you, Brett.
Yeah,
very well said. And so Namarupa. So we carve it up and we give it a name.
Yeah.
And in some sense, of course, obviously this is okay. When Matri came here to the U.S., she never wanted to come to the U.S., but all of a sudden, bang, here she is. And so I bought like a meter wide or a 3 foot wide wall map of the states of the United States and put it on the wall. So when somebody says, I'm from Iowa, where's Iowa? So she'll look at a new state, and she's been kind of mentally checking them off. She's been in quite a few of them now. And we also got a world map that's about that big too, and it's on the wall. So when you look at that big world map, and we have just over there, around the corner over there, a globe, a ball of the earth. And when you look at that, there's a certain point. If you take a globe and you hold it in your hand and you hold it just like this, and you're looking at the South Pacific, there's a certain vantage point where you don't see any land at all. Try it sometime. Go grab a globe and hold it up like this, and there's no land. It's only ocean. So when you look at the map or the globe, you see, wow, there's this huge water. And it's all one water, but we carve it up. So there's the North Sea and those other places around Greece she was talking about. And there's the Mediterranean is obviously different because it's tucked neatly in there.
Well, that's what I meant.
The Mediterranean, yeah. And so it's built into our makeup. And I think our makeup is just a reflection of the nature of the universe. There's something built in that we carve things up. So you and I live in the Milky Way galaxy. Now, we have only known for a handful of decades, it's been in the last 100 years, that it was discovered that there was more than the Milky Way. We didn't even know that. And so it's just bigger and bigger and bigger. And so there's my division part. We give it a new name. So this is what we're talking about. And this is what has happened with yoga. So in some sense, it's not surprising. So as yogis who ponder we contemplate these kind of things, we ought to be able to figure out, Joe, everybody, we ought to be able to learn how to hold a little lightness over this thing and not accidentally just fall into a trap of negativity ourselves. Dvesha. Avidya, asmita, raga, devesha, abhinivesha, the 5 kleshas that Patanjali maps out.
Yeah, we don't have to accept
devesha is the aversion. We don't, and I truly understand, I can feel it in my heart, the irritation for what has happened to yoga in the modern world. This is devesha. It's the pushing against. It's the againstness. But if we're going to be good yogis, then we need to understand that this is the reality. One of the things I stumbled into a couple of years ago in this context was the word homonym. So we did a presentation in this on the homonym. And a homonym is a word that has 2 different meanings. And so
you're wearing something red.
I say, she says, what were you doing over there, Swamiji? I said, well, I read the book. I read the book, right? I read the book. That's what you do. It's the past tense of read. I read the book. What color is my scarf? My scarf is red. Red. 2 completely different
People
meanings.
Are leaving, yeah.
It's a homonym. Well, but we're all leaving. We're all going to leave momentarily. I just wanted to use this as kind of a closing comment. That one of our presentations in this course we're making is to point out in a neutral kind of way the homonym. So instead of saying, oh, those people have changed yoga and they're bad, accidentally saying that, and we've got the real yoga, we've got the authentic yoga, is to recognize that what we have is a situation of a homonym. There's something going on in our world that's very big. It's now a $5 billion per year industry. Yoga is not an industry. We can be argumentative over that, or we can observe this has happened. And there are yoga studios all over the place. If we hold the notion of homonym and namarupa, the yogic principle of namarupa, of course we create new things by carving it out of something else and give it a new name, a nama. And so that's a yoga studio. And we say, there's Maitri yoga and there's Swami Janeshwar yoga. We too have two different styles of yoga, and we give it a brand name. This is what has happened in our world. But it's namarupa. And so if we're going to be, traditional yogis, whatever that is, the words are a problem. If we're going to do that, then it behooves us to try to understand what's happened and not accidentally fall into the trap of himsa, of harming the other people. Accidentally, we can push against people so hard that we're hurting them. Let's not do that. Let's acknowledge the reality that we have a homonym. It has happened in the last approximately 100 years, particularly in the last couple decades. That yoga, whatever this is, it's there. There's a homonym. It's there. I read the book and I have a red scarf. Red. Two different meanings of the same thing. And so we can allow there to be a peaceful coexistence, and we can hold this high ground, not higher ground, but we can hold the high ground that says yoga, something like yoga is a whole life process. We do it everywhere. And so that ought to include inside of a yoga studio under a brand named yoga. So there's room for that. Of course you can do it there. It's like the people in the alcoholism drug addiction center the other day, we were talking about how can I practice this in the middle of my AA meeting? And you can. We can do these things. Both of these parallel stories, we can do that. And so this course that we put together, which led us to trying to have a conversation about unbranded yoga, is an attempt to be part of that in a non-combative way. In the old saying that says, be part of the solution, not the problem. And so let us not accidentally become a big part of the problem and aggressively fighting against other people. Let's hold high ground and see that this is the nature of, it's the nature of avidya. It's the nature of Leela, the play of Shakti. The dance goes on. The dance of manifestation goes on. And one of the other things that we're probably going to talk about next week on Sunday, this came up yesterday, we were talking, another topic we talked about is tangible in relation to intangible yoga. Cliffhanger, tangible and intangible yoga. And by the time we get to next Sunday, we will have with us here in the ashram two, count them, not one, but two more duchies. So that means, watch out, Joe, I'm going to have 3 duchies here with Maitri and 2 other duchies coming in on the airplane on Wednesday.
Yes, and Raj will be here too.
And Raj will be here too. And Raj has been proclaimed to be an honorary duchy.
Yes. I think that's why they also get along.
Yeah.
They're both honorary duchies.
So, yes, that probably helps. So anyway, we'll end now. And Preacher Leela will be with us this afternoon, and we will continue with the Book of Wisdom. I think we're coming near the end of it, and when we do, we'll do something new. This is she. We call her Preacher Leela because today is Sunday, and in this country, Sunday is kind of a church day. She's not a preacher. It's meant humorously. It's in that spirit again of let's have levity and lightheartedness while we talk about something that can otherwise be very, very serious.
Yes.
This yoga stuff is serious business, Mom.
Okay.
Now we have to sit up straight and be serious.
I have my head, neck, and trunk sort of straight.
But okay, all right. Okay, so we're going away now.
Now I'm gonna do more editing.
She's going go back. When's the editing going to be done? Wednesday. So the goal is to have the thing done and published
before next Sunday.
And so it depends on how long. When we submit it, Udemy has to look at it and approve it. So we'll have it finished. My part's coming along nicely, but it'll be finished by Wednesday, and then Udemy has to look through it and decide if they're going to approve it. We have no trouble. We've done so many of these that I think they know that we're doing a good job, and they will approve it. And then probably by the end of the week, we will publish it.
Great.
And so let's see what else we got. Any comments?
Time to say goodbye.
Yeah, but I just wanted to see if comments at the end.
Laters.
We will all be Dutchies eventually. Laters. Yeah, that's what caught my eye. I didn't see before. Laters. Laters, Joe. That must be from where is Joe from?
I don't know.
We don't know where Joe's from. Laters.
Later.
Laters.
Later.
Later.
That's Dutch again. Later.
Later. Okay.
Doei.
Bye. Oh, thank you for hanging out and playing.
I thought playful Sunday
we had
snowing.
fun. I hope you had fun too.
Need to be more in view.
Life should be enjoyable. It should be fun.
Bye.
I'm going to where's Roseanne? I'm going to push the button.
She's not here, but push it.
Push the button. I always have trouble pushing the button.
Come on, you can do it.
I can do it. I'm going to push the end broadcast button.
Yes.
But see, you have to push it. You push it once, and then you get another button that says, basically, do you really want to end it? So I'm going to push end. Okay. And after the Om, we go to silence. Okay. Om Tat Sat.